Welcome to the Judgment Free Zone. You've downloaded the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast, episode 40 for February 6th, 2023.
Now adjust the volume control so that the sound can be heard in all parts of the room.
Recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois, you're listening to the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast with Matt and Amy. Come and learn and share a journey with two former craft beer enthusiasts who went from daily drinkers to teetotalers and basically never lost their love for their life together.
Hey, a freak show!
Well, hello there, children. Welcome back to your weekly freak show that is the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast. I am Matt, along with the always lovely, and I don't have anything fun to say other than that, Coach Amy. How are you, my love? Always lovely and something, and nothing came to me. Nothing came to me today.
I don't know what's up with you.
I don't know.
You know what? Do you feel like a sense of completeness in here?
I do now.
I mean,
everything is in its everything is where it should be, Amy.
You have everything done. You have now a wonderful print.
Yes.
Up.
The room is done. The mics are
we have
actually
we have a couple little side pillows on our little couch.
If you're watching on the YouTubes, which I encourage you to do, and subscribe and like and all that fun stuff, if you look closely at our interview coming up, it's before I had the proper mounts for the mics, and they're actually zip tied onto the arms because those hadn't come
kind
yet.
of dangling. We're just kind of dangling, but that's okay.
We are official now.
Yeah.
But here we are.
It's so nice.
It is nice. It's so much faster. You just walk up, boom, here we are.
I know you have it all set up. You have your little camera mounted. We have the lights in here. We have our lovely little screen.
You tell Miss A to turn on the lights, and
yes.
You're off to the races, as it were.
So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
We
have no audience members still. We still just have
the audience of one corgi.
Our corgi, yes, our what do you call those, mascots? Yeah, she's our mascot.
Oh, that would be.
She?
Yeah. You know what? You know what we need to do.
You know what? No wife ever says that and it ends well.
We need to ask Lynn if he would do a new.
Oh, new album art type thing.
Little thing for us, like he did the cornfield thing years ago. We can show that
because
that was pretty cute. But it'd be kind of cute. We could have the.
I think I may have still had hair when he did that one, so it'd have to be full on bald.
And then we could have little O be a part of that.
That's an idea. I wouldn't mind.
I think that would be kind of cute.
It'd be different and freshen it up again. So it's lovely here in the cornfield. Just got back from a lovely walk. It's nice to get out in the sun, get a little vitamin D, get that exercise in.
50 degrees outside.
That helps with your mental stuff.
Sun has been out the last 3 or 4 days.
I wouldn't go that far. At least 2 or 3.
Okay.
2 for sure, maybe 3.
I think
it's
been 3. It's been so nice.
Yes.
To see blue skies.
Yes, I didn't have to wear a hat today. It was,
no gloves, nothing.
It does something for your dopamine or your something.
Yeah,
your
serotonin.
Serotonin. That's what I was looking for.
And you're it really does help with your mood.
It does.
Seasonal depression, it's lifted.
Because Amy, I think I've reached a new level of a non-drinker, which I didn't even know was a level you could go to. I actually had a dream where I normally would have drank, and I chose not to drink even in my dream.
I think that is really funny.
It felt weird. I mean, it didn't feel weird. It's just like I woke up and I'm like, it wouldn't have mattered if I drank in my dream.
Oh, I know, but when you've had, like in the past, when you've had the drinking dreams.
The drinking dreams, yes.
There are some that I had, and I think you did as well, that they were so vivid that it was like, I woke up and I'm like, I cannot believe that I did that. I mean, one of my dreams was so vivid that I went and looked to make sure that my car was in the garage.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, that's how crazy my dream was.
And I think the drinking dreams are probably common when you first quit. That was my first,
That is something that your subconscious and your conscious mind have now really accepted that, you are.
Have I reached some Jedi state? Is that what's happening to me?
Maybe it's this Jedi NA alcohol-free mind.
It's not a mind trick. It's just
like this.
This is not the beer you're looking for.
You must look for the NA. Anyways, so I think that is really cool.
I'm very excited. Anything new with you before we touch on our quick news and then get to our cool interview?
New for me? I don't know.
No.
I don't know. We just have had some fun now with doing the little bits of, decorating. Well, yesterday we We will have a vlog that will be coming out, the Red Boy Vlogcast.
Find that on YouTube's kids.
Some people had to ask, why haven't you? We haven't seen a vlog lately, so
And preface,
we took you along with us.
the Red
on
Boy
our-
Vlogcast is not alcohol. I mean, it's alcohol free, but it's not. It's just us being stupid. It's just us. It's nothing.
It's just us. If you go back and watch
You will
many
learn- you will learn
old
nothing.
episodes, we were not.
Well, you
we
will-
weren't alcohol free. We were
That's
very
true.
much alcohol.
Oh, yeah. Start a vlog and then quit drinking, and you'll look back at your other videos and be like, "Wow, hungover much?" Yeah, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I think that would be something that we were watching one, and we were getting ready to go to a band competition, I think is
Yeah.
what it was. And we were both looking at you, and you're like, oh, puffy. I was puffy too, but you were like, whoa, look at me. And I'm like, I'm watching me in the background, and I'm like, oh, well, look what I'm doing. I'm going to the cabinet to grab my 2 ibuprofen, and I'm filling up and having that
Yep. It was an interesting.
based on my evening from the night before, I'm sure.
We started our day hungover, and we ended our day with cocktails,
Yeah.
which was just
That was just
every
our
weekend,
daily.
but
And
yeah.
that, I mean, it's just the way
That's
it
the way it
was.
was.
And we were in that state of asleep. You have those 4 stages: asleep, aware, awake, and then I'm finally alive. And we are definitely in the alive.
I'm
portion
clearly
of
aware
that.
based on my dreams. So
Yeah, I know. I think you're alive now. You're like, wait a minute. No, I think that is so, I think that's funny, but I think it's kind of cool too that, and then you're like, and I didn't. I think what was more disturbing to you is that we were on a cross-country road trip with your entire family.
which was weird too. I'm like, for some reason, we're on this
Because
cross-country family road trip
I
with the entire
can't
family.
see us doing a cross-country. We can get down, we can do a 6.5 hour,
Now,
maybe
we were in
12
Colorado,
hours.
all of us, and that's why I ran into my fraternity reunion. Happened to be in Colorado. I don't know why, and it was weird, but I didn't drink. So there you
That's
go.
funny.
I was sober even in my dreams. So, anyways, see, sobriety can be in your dreams.
True.
We have a little quick bit of news that you found, Amy, that is very relevant to our topic, and Joe even talks about it in our interview, about how beer, non-alcoholic beer, is a better choice over regular beer for, let me just read the sentence instead of trying to paraphrase.
Yeah, please just read it.
For performance, recovery, and overall health, non-alcoholic beer is a better choice than regular beer or even a sports drink.
Yeah. It's,
And Joe mentioned that in the thing about how there's so many good things in it.
and we can we'll link to the article, but it was in the Washington Post, and it's based on a 2022 study that they titled "Fit and Tipsy," and that study went out to determine that if men and women, if they have that relatively high aerobic fitness, they were more or twice as likely to be moderate or heavy drinkers as to those who were in worse shape. And, I think that we just need to, most people who are working out, going to the gym, have gym memberships, are in running clubs, and who are more health focused,
Right.
they tend to be more, I guess, may make more money.
Well, and some of them, I think, do
and-
it. They work out so they can drink, or they
Yes.
feel okay drinking because they do work out, or it's just the culture around whatever their sport
Well, and
of
it's
choice
that
is.
I deserve again. I
Yeah.
deserve,
Right.
I'm
Yep.
working out hard, so I can go ahead and imbibe in this not so great for me
activity.
activity. There you go.
Well, beer. So all beers apparently,
Yep.
have a natural chemical in them called polyphenols. Polyphenols.
Mm-hmm.
They're natural chemicals found in plants that frequently have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Beer, including the alcoholic variety, are rich in these phenols. Number types, depending on the brewer type, there's a lot of them. But the alcohol in regular beer undermines the benefits of the polyphenols.
Yeah, it cancels it out. Any real good benefits that you would get from the polyphenols, it's just basically erased based because of that toxin. That's
Same
in
thing with the
beers.
red wine theory, right? Like,
Oh,
there are good things in
absolutely.
red wine, yes, but the alcohol negates it, so just have some grape juice. Or I guess any red
Or just
wine.
have some grapes or
Right.
some blueberries.
Right. So there's good things in it. So drinking an NA beer they found is actually has a lot of good things
Yeah,
that help recovery and all these type of things.
All those good things that
That are
they've
in it.
always told us about beer, just in general, the alcoholic version, is actually, it is really good for you. It helps with keeping you hydrated. They proved that if people would drink ahead of time, not like right ahead of time, but if
45 minutes before,
that it would really benefit them.
the non-alcoholic version.
Yes, it would keep the participants more hydrated as they were going.
Yeah. The problem with the alcoholic version is the inflammation that comes up, the diureticness that comes up, the alcohol that's in it. So that's not so much. But one thing they point out is that because the beer is more natural than like a sports drink, because it's literally all natural stuff, right? So it's actually kind of healthier because it has.
Well, it is healthier.
Yeah. Just take the alcohol out part.
Yeah, and so they really did find, and there's less sugar than in sports drinks, so that's another real it's a big plus as well. So
you're getting the benefits, quote unquote, in a regular alcoholic beer. It's just the alcohol is going to mask the negative effects of the alcohol will mask any benefits you receive.
So if you're drinking something that has
it's like putting a shot of vodka in your sports drink.
So you have that this helps with my inflammation, but the alcohol gives me the inflammation. So it basically just cancels it out. But it's a really interesting article.
And Joe talks about more in the interview. About
so we'll go ahead and we'll link to it in the show notes.
In the show notes, kids. And speaking of Joe and Heather and Go Brewing and our drink of the week just is Go Brewing.
Yes, it's just Go Brewing.
I think last week, maybe, or 2 weeks ago, we had their beer right when we got back as the drink of the week. This week, they're actually the interview of the week, so Go Brewing is just the drink.
It is, and we have not had any that we don't like.
No.
I'm not a big IPA fan, but I even liked, what is it, their mango one?
No, the grapefruit.
The grapefruit, yes. And I'm like, I like the grapefruit. Yep. But it's a great interview. I think you're going to enjoy it. And do you want me to go ahead and introduce?
Why don't you introduce our
Okay, I'm going to introduce Joe and Heather. And they are with Go Brewing. Joe started drinking as a teen, but never thought he had a problem until he was in his late 40s. And it was just one of those things. Then COVID hit. Joe and Heather, they started to consume more booze. They were not making really healthy food choices at mealtime, and they really developed some unhealthy habits. So one day, while nursing their hangovers, they made a pact to stop drinking, and they did 75 hard. And so week after week, their cravings for alcohol started to subside. But, some nights they still wanted a beer, and they wanted, they did want to have something that would satisfy that craving. So that's when the idea of Go Brewing emerged. What if they could produce a non-alcoholic and a low alcoholic beer without the negative side effects and have a tap room with great music and entertainment? And that is where Go Brewing came from. So we'll go ahead and we'll play the interview for you now. We hope you enjoy it. Well, we are so excited. We have Joe and Heather Chura with us, and they are the co-founders of Go Brewing up in Naperville, Illinois. It's just north of us. So I feel like we're neighbors here, and we're so excited for you to be on here and to tell us a little bit about your story and why you're doing Go Brewing and where this all came from. And we just want to say we're so excited because we've been to your location. You can see we've bought the merch, and we're enjoying your awesome product
right now, as a matter of fact. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having us. Thanks for having us on. It's great. And I was just drinking our product at our facility. So now I have some water to hydrate in between the non-alcoholic beer. But it's
man can't live on non-alcoholic beer alone, right?
Yeah, I mean, I drink so much of it, it's kind of ridiculous now. There's some nights when I'll have like 8 non-alcoholic beers, and I can tell you that you cannot get intoxicated on it unless you hit 40, and I never came close to that. And you probably will have other issues before intoxication at that level.
Right.
Well, just, you know what, why don't you guys just tell us a little bit about you, where you're from? I mean, I already said that you're from Naperville, but, do you have family? What do you have, what do you do for fun?
I'll let my wife start.
Well, I was actually born and raised in Naperville, so I brought him along. So he's a South Sider. So we had met in downtown Chicago, and then when we had met, we decided to kind of move out to the suburbs. And then once we had children, I was like, we have got to get back to Naperville because my parents are here. So I'm like, we need all the help we could get with grandma and grandpa. So I brought him back to Naperville, and we've been here ever since.
Yeah,
how old
since
are your kids?
10, 12, and then I have a 24-year-old daughter as well.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, tell us
So they
about.
keep us busy.
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do.
And you still have time to run start up and run an entire brewery.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I have a day job as well on top of it. So it's been great though. It's a blessing. Like the brewery is, I would say like 5% of it I consider work. The 95% is just all my passions boiled up into one beautiful thing, and it's so much fun.
So I guess the simple basic question is like, where did you come up with the idea to start an NA brewery? There's only, but maybe I can only think of a couple like true only NA breweries. What drove you to do this? I mean, like you said, you already have a full-time job, right? So, to take on another thing like this, what drove all this?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of things that drive us to make decisions, but I think one of the major catalysts was during COVID, not dissimilar to your story, where we were kind of gluttons. We were eating a lot, we were drinking a lot, and we were both out of weight or overweight, out of shape, just not feeling good. And then in September of 2020, we were like, something has to give. And we heard about this challenge called 75 Hard, which is 75 days. And there's like 10 different components to it. You got to drink a gallon of water. You got to have a healthy diet. But one of the hardest things is you can't drink. And neither of us had went probably more than a week or 2 weeks without drinking since we were probably my wife in college, myself in high school, and didn't really know what to expect from that challenge. And what ended up happening is not only did we lose weight from our diet too, and from our other habits that we took on, but we had a sense of mental clarity that we hadn't had in a while. And we started being more productive, and we started getting closer to our goals versus further away from them. And we looked at each other and were like, man, we feel great right now. And day 76 happened, day 77 happened, and we didn't run to go to the liquor store. In fact, we went out for a steak dinner on day 78, I think, at Hugo's Frog Bar in Naperville. Wonderful place, great wine selection with a bottle of wine, and we couldn't even finish it. We had like not even a glass each, and we were just didn't feel the same to us. And at that point, we decided to take a life of moderation. We weren't gonna say we're never gonna drink again, but we said we're gonna drink a lot less. And during that whole period of time, what curbed our craving is non-alcoholic beer. So that was just kind of that altogether was one experience that really kind of put an idea in our head that there's something more out there. And then the second thing is when we would go out to dinner, we're kind of fast eaters. We'd get a babysitter. The babysitter would get here at 5:30. We're done eating at like 6:30, 6:45. And we would look at each other and we're like, what do you want to do? And we can't go relieve the babysitter. So, and the last thing we want to do is run home. So, but we also know we're not good with temptation. And there was nowhere to go that didn't revolve around alcohol. Like not one place we could think of except Barnes and Noble or like walking around the block. And we were coming up with these like silly things to buy time. And we're like, man, there's got to be something. Like, why can't there be something? So those two things were kind of, to me, the big catalyst for this. And then I think there was just like a deeper feeling of why in both of our lives, and like something that needed to fulfill us in a different way. And thinking about this idea certainly did that. When I went to my wife and I said, hey, I have this kind of crazy idea, she's what I call my like editor at large. Like I come up,
I'm his sounding board. So
yeah. So I have these
Yeah.
crazy ideas, like to run fast, and she's just, most of the time she'll talk me out of something. And this time she was like, you know what, that's a really good idea. And then we started exploring it together. And next thing we knew, we hired a brewer and created a brewery in our garage, and kind of did that for a year, and then Go Brewing opened.
Yeah. So really the part of the story he's kind of leaving out is he has tons of ideas. So he always has these big dreams. So he would come to me and tell me all these things like, let's do this or let's do that. I'm like, I don't know about that. And then one day I get a call and he's just like, so there's this brewery. It's really a cidery, but I think we can open up a brewery. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I got to hear more. So then we were able to talk about it a little bit. And then it just kind of fit within everything that we were doing at the time. Because like he said, we had kind of went down this path of, we were, drinking and doing all those kind of unhealthy things, and then decided to do that challenge that really kind of reset ourselves and said, okay, like, we don't really need alcohol in our lives to have fun and be able to do the things that we want to do. In fact, we're able to do more. So when he came to me with that idea, it's like, you know what, I can buy into this idea. I think it's a pretty cool idea. And, during that time frame when we were doing the 75 hard, I kind of made it my mission, because I knew it was going to be hard, to try to find all those different non-alcoholic beverage options, which it was hard to find, like trying to find a non-alcoholic wine or a beer or a spirits that actually tasted good. It was kind of a struggle, so therefore when this opportunity came about, we're like, we're in a position that we can do this, and then like my husband said, going out to eat and trying to find a place to have those experiences, that, ritual of going out with your friends and hanging out or going to listen to live music. There was kind of a lack thereof. And we kind of felt like, everything revolved around liquor, so it was, if we're able to create something that gives people an outlet that's completely inclusive, why not?
Yeah. I think that's what we really loved when we came to your bar. I mean, there was something for everybody. It was, and it is this whole, you just said it, inclusive of everyone. And that's been like what we have said to many people here. We're like, but you're not being inclusive. It's like, we don't matter unless we're going to buy alcohol. And I'm like, don't you realize you can make money off of us too?
Mm-hmm.
We want to give you money.
I'll pay the same for NA beer as I pay for regular beer. So,
Well, we had food trucks that wouldn't even come to our place because they thought people that weren't inebriated weren't going to want to eat. I was just like, what are you thinking? Like people that don't drink don't eat? Like, it just didn't make any sense. So we've seen a lot of kind of weird things. We've seen more positive, amazing, incredible things than weird things, but there's certainly anomalies out there, and people have this lens on that, like, whoa, what is this? And I think just like anything, they're coming around, and we're far further today than we were 5 years ago. And just think about where we're going to be in 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, if you watch and I'm sure you've done all the market research, but yeah, you watch the trends of NA stuff, it's just, skyrocketing straight up. So you guys if I'm understanding, you didn't have like a brewing, like you weren't already brewing stuff yourself, or you didn't have like a brewing background?
Nope.
Really?
No, I had a background as an entrepreneur. I built a few companies in the Naperville area. I built a marketing company, the software company. I sold them in 2018, grew them to about 800 employees, and stayed on as the CEO of those companies. So definitely had that expertise of creating something from nothing and taking an idea and making it real and building a really good team. And the one thing I learned from all of that, I learned a lot of things, but the number one thing I learned is like, surround yourself with smarter people.
Mm-hmm.
And so before we even decided like we're actually going to do this, like, I'm like, I got to find a brewer. So I posted a job before I had a company, before we had anything, before my wife officially said yes. I posted the job out there just to have some more facts around like who can be on our team. And I started interviewing people at various bars and breweries and found an amazing brewer. And then when we decided to move forward with the company, he started reporting in my garage as if, that was his job. So we converted my garage into a brewery and created 1,000 batches of beer over the course of a year, and to really refine what we would launch with. And since we launched with those beers, they've only got better, and we've developed more styles. And I'm just super proud of him and the team that's been creating our product so far.
So how long was that from the time Heather said yes to the time you opened the doors? How long was that? Is that a year, or is that longer than a year even?
It was
Probably about a year.
a little over a year.
Because you're only been open, the facility's only been open for three months, am I right, or longer?
It's been 3.5 months right now.
Okay, all right.
October 15th.
Yeah,
I will say your beers are and I've pretty much tried every NA beer on the planet, pretty much, and yours are top notch. Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, that was one thing when my only criteria for the brewer was, can you make the best NA beer on the planet? Like, can we do this together? And if the answer was no, or maybe, or it's a lot of work, anything other than a definitive yes, I would have kept looking. And he looked at me and he goes, yes, we can. And I believe right now, to your point, like, we're amongst the top tier, and I think it's only going to get better. Especially with our new styles that we're coming out with. We're gonna have the first NA Black and Tan for St. Patty's Day. Things like that we can get really, really creative with. And that's the best thing about this. We'll have an idea and we execute on it and we test it, and not everything's gonna work, but that's the fun part of it,
Right.
and yeah. So thank you very much for that compliment on the beer. It's I'm real proud of it. And it's great to see the media and the customers and their feedback.
What's your process to do this? Because I know I talked to the guys here who brew, who now carry NA cans, but the equipment's very expensive, so they're kind of hesitant to really even want to do that. So like, well, we'll just do cans. What's it take for you to make I don't need the recipe or anything, but what's the process involved to make an NA beer that's this good?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because at first you think like there's a cost for alcohol fermentation, meaning people come in and they're like, wow, it costs the same as a regular beer. I thought it would cost less. And I'm like, no, it actually should cost more, because here's everything that goes into it. Not only do you have to make a beer just like any other beer, you have to have a pasteurizing machine. And we have a tunnel pasteurizer that takes the beer after it's packaged, after it's in a can, and it runs through for about 20 minutes and makes sure that it's hot water hits it at a temp where nothing can grow in it, including alcohol. That's one of the most important things, because if you didn't do that and it just sat in a can, it would start to gain alcohol. And obviously, if it gets above the 0.5% threshold, it's not NA beer. So you got to be really careful there. So that machine's expensive. It's expensive to do a lot of what we do with a centrifuge. So there's definitely other pieces of equipment that make the cost per beer a lot more. So how we do it is really very similar to how you would make a regular beer. We don't use a special yeast or anything like that. We use regular classic ingredients. We just use different ratios of those ingredients. And it took us a long time to figure out what those would be. And timing is really important, and temperatures are really important. So we have this proprietary methodology that allow us to make a beer without having to take out the alcohol at the end of it. And that's what a lot of people are doing as I don't want to say shortcut by any means, right, but that just wasn't the way we wanted to go. We wanted to make it a traditional classical beer that tasted great, that ended up with low calories, that was safe and the highest quality standards possible, and not have to process the alcohol out.
Yeah, and I think that probably is what, and I know nothing about brewing, but I would assume that's probably what makes yours in that top tier, is you're not creating something and then trying to reprocess it out. You just don't put it in the first place. So you're not damaging the final product in any way, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that is awesome. I'm curious. I mean, I'm sure you've got lots of great feedback, but what's been some of the surprises? I mean, you obviously hoped it would take off. You'd hope it'd be well accepted. And it seems like it has clearly been. What's been some of your surprise, like, wow, we didn't expect this, or those type of things?
Yeah, I love this question, but I want you to answer this first. What's the surprise?
Trying
Your
to
end.
think. Way to put me on the spot, honey. Well, it's just seeing like the passion from the brewers, and then like really seeing the culture that we're creating within the environment of Go Brewing and the tap room. So it's really been really nice to see that it's cast a wide net. So we don't see one type of person within the tap room. We see, like I said before, kind of an inclusive environment. So we see young people, we see middle-aged people, we see, people that have never drank. We see people who are, saying, I want something in moderation. So I just wanted someplace to go out and have fun. So the fact that we've been able to see this variety of people, I think that's really kind of the surprise on saying, okay, this is something that, a lot of people wanted and needed, because they weren't unlike us. They were looking for some place to go besides their house, besides the bookstore, and besides going out to dinner. And to be able to give them that, has been a real joy.
Yeah, I would piggyback on that to say that day one, I was completely taken off guard, to be honest with you. The first time we opened the doors to the public, and 60% of people in there were in recovery. I did not expect that. I did not see that come in, or they weren't drinking for some reason, for health reasons, or they just could not drink. I thought it would be taboo if you were in recovery to be in an NA bar. We never thought about that as one of our audiences. And we were so happy to see that people really embrace and they looked forward to that. And what we realized is everyone's on a spectrum, and the spectrum ranges from people like my brother, who is now almost 2 years sober. He went to rehab. He was days away from dying, like literally had liver disease. He's 4 years younger than me. He would be dead 100% today. Went to rehab, changed his life. He cannot have beer at our bar. He cannot have beer at our brewery. And I had a lens that people in recovery were like him, and this is not the case. There's certainly people like that. There's people that can't even step foot in our bar, can't even step foot in the parking lot. And we totally respect that. And then there's people on the other side of the spectrum that they'll come in our facility 3 times a week and have a couple NA beers, and they're perfectly fine. That completely shocked me. The amount of people that have health issues and cannot drink, that was also a surprise as well. So those two audiences, I did not anticipate. That wasn't in our business plan or model at all. I thought there'd be a lot of people like us showing up, and that's like, hey, we're sick of drinking too. Let's lower the amount that we want to drink, or we want to quit for a while. But it turns out that there's just a lot more folks out there that can't drink. And if you total all the moderate drinkers and the people that can't drink, that are on the spectrum that can have NA beer, it equates to over 50% of the population. So people that look at me like I'm nuts, saying like, well, why would you create that? Everyone drinks. I'm like, that's not the case. You just don't see them because they're not hanging out where you're hanging out.
They have nowhere to go.
Right. Well, and
Yeah.
down here, that's why I've encouraged one of the places to carry NA stuff, because and one reason we totally love Go Brewing is we like the environment. We like the tap house, brew house environment. We like the entertainment, just the whole vibe, right? But we're not wanting to drink regular beer, and we want an NA beer. We don't want to go somewhere, to your point, like have a pop or a water or a coffee, or we want to have an adult quote unquote beverage. And that's exactly what you guys are offering, right? Like people who can still, you're right, not everybody can still drink alcohol like substances, right? But there's a large group of people who can, and those who want to take friends out, like with work, like, hey, let's do a happy hour. I always say, let's go to this place, because because Go Brewing, you guys have a list of alcohol beers too, right? From other brewers. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So, we can go there. I can have my NA beer. You can have a regular beer if you want a quote unquote regular beer. And everybody, to Amy's point, it's inclusive. Everybody can get what they want. And that's exactly the audience you're serving, is like everybody can come and enjoy a beer and have fun. And if you want to have alcohol in it, cool. If not, cool. And you can hear some music or whatever. I think it's awesome. And I clearly have noticed that with your audience.
Yeah. And I think it's just even feeling comfortable in the environment, so you're going around with like-minded people that don't feel like they need something in order to be confident in themselves and have a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of getting out of that comfort zone, and that, the ritual that people have, that they feel like they have to have that alcohol in order to be in a social environment. So we're trying to change that culture, and say, okay, you can be out and you're going to be okay. And look at all these other people that are out, that are sober as well.
Yeah. And funny story there. So the first concert that we had, we have live music every weekend, but the first one we had, people are so attentive to the band. The band started like freaking out a little bit, and they're like, what is going on here? No one's running into me, spilling drinks. And at the end of every song, people would clap as if it was like a real performance, because it was. And then the very end of it, when the band was done, everyone got up and left. It was so funny. So we experienced like so many little nuances that we're just exploring with, like one being that at 9 o'clock, most of our audience is at home sleeping. We close at 10, and we're like, should we even shut down earlier? Because from 9 to 10, unless you're coming from our neighbors, Solemn Oath, which is an amazing place next to us that has the higher octane stuff, we're not generating much of an organic audience that late.
Right.
Well, and I think it's also like people, we're coming to find out it's because everyone is aware of where they're at because they are sober, that everyone's very respectful. So when closing time's at 10, you don't find the people that they've lost their inhibitions and, are acting kind of out of their norm, that they're like, okay, the bar's closed. Okay, it's time to go home. And I can actually get in my car and drive home and not have to worry about it, so.
That is so great. I love how you're creating this ability for people to, in my opinion, learn how to interact again with each other, like being our authentic selves. And that is for me, I was what I would call, I'm on the spectrum, obviously, a gray area drinker. And that's, it's this huge spectrum of people who, alcohol was no longer serving me. And so we went up to Chicago. We sought out I don't know if you're familiar with Sands Bar. They're out of Austin. And the gentleman, Chris, they do pop-ups. So they had a pop-up event. We drove up to Chicago to go to this event. And it was the most awkward thing to do, because we're going to a bar and going to meet people. And what do you do? But I mean, it was just this, but it was so much fun. And part of the experience is he gets up and says, it's okay. It's all right. We're all going to talk to each other. We're all going to have a nice drink, and we're going to talk to each other. And it's going to be a wonderful evening. And it was. And it's you guys are doing this exact same thing. And it's so cool to be, I just think it's a really great time to be alive.
And you're not going
to
and you don't have to worry about standing out in an environment like yours, because most people are, like you, right? So I think that's one of the funny things I felt when I went in there. I'm like, I feel like I belong here, like I'm not like in a place that's for everybody else that happens to have something that I want to drink, right? Like this is a place that is for me, right? And if you want to have a beer, you can also come along too. It flips the model a little bit. And I think that's one of the reasons we just fell in love with it. And I want you to talk about all the different like events you have. And I've seen you start posting work from Go Brewing, which sounds like, really? How would you work from a brewery? Well, it's NA beer. I can drink this like I drink a coffee, right?
Like a coffee
Which
house.
I'm like, I told Amy, I go, one of these days I will be driving up to Naperville to work from up there. I don't know what day, but I'm going to do it just so I can. But what other kind of, you guys have tons of events and activities, and what are some of those that you have, or maybe ones that are coming up?
Oh, there's so many, and we love doing it. So we have live music every weekend, and then we have all kinds of fitness and wellness related events. So an example of Dry January, we had two virtual nutritional workshops with the nutrition expert. We did those live on Facebook. We had cold plunges twice with Wim Hof, with a Wim Hof certified instructor, where we worked on breath training and stress control and mindset. And then people got to go outside in these frigid temps and jump in some cold water for 2 minutes. And that's a whole nother story in itself. But I'll say that we haven't had one person get out early yet. We've done this 5 times with over 100
crazy.
People. 2 minutes each in these cold plunges of all different walks of life too. It's pretty incredible people. We have yoga a couple times a month. I'm super excited. This month we have Tai Chi and Qigong. It's a Chinese meditation martial art. So the cool thing is, like, anything we think of, we're like, let's just try it and see what happens, which is a lot of fun. We have an indoor bags tournament on February 25th. Chicago Alcohol Free Society and us are partnering together. They're the ones that did like the Chicago Booze NA Booze Cruise that you might have saw. They just did an event last month. We're gonna have a casino night March 11th at our place as well. So tickets are available for that. They're like $35. Outside of that, it's just, every single weekend there's something. We have a run club every weekend too. So really good combination, fitness, wellness, and education.
That's really cool. I just had a question. I forgot what it was. You have one? I try to remember mine.
I wanted to make sure that we talk about your packaging, if you can share with us.
And yeah, and who writes we were asking who is the Jay Peterman of the crew. I was reading the back of the Prophet Hazy IPA about, the little description here. I'm like, man, they have like a regular Jay Peterman on their team writing some of this stuff. So yeah, who designs who designs the packaging and writes all of your content, I guess.
This is a really good case in point about my editor at large over here. So I typically will name the cans. I have a podcast too, and a lot of these folks I've had on my podcast, and I've learned from them. And they have incredible stories. They're not necessarily A-list actors that you would know, but I think they're people that people should know. So each one of our cans that is not our beta can, or not our beta series, but our can, like the Prophets, Burn It Down, Suspended in a Sunbeam, and the others, they're inspired by someone. So what typically happens is we'll have the story. I'll draft the story and the content of the website, and then I'll truncate it for the can, and I'll be super proud of it. And I'm like, man, I think I nailed this one. And then I give it to her, and she just rewrites everything and makes it way better.
That's great, Joe. But what about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we use Google Docs a lot, and I'm just like, all right, I got another one for you. And yeah, it's usually completely rewritten, and usually, well, almost always 100% better.
I'll just wordsmith it a little bit, but most of the content comes from this guy. But then I know a lot of the stories about the people that have inspired the cans, so I kind of add to that as well. So
right, yeah. And what's the story with? So you have we have one of your beta beers here, the chocolate covered cherry stout, which if you decide you're not going to make it full time, let me know so I can drive up and get Amy a couple cases before you're out of it. How do you work what's your strategy, or how does the beta program work on the beers?
It's funny. We're figuring this out as we go. When we launched, we decided we're going to have 5 base beers, and those beers can have iterations, and that's what the beta beers are. So the grapefruit IPA is an iteration of our Burn It Down IPA. The mango peach hazy is an iteration of our hazy. So it's the same base. It's just we add different components to it. And same with the chocolate cherry stout. That's an iteration of our regular stout. And the idea is we can't have 20 different beers in market. We figure out, okay, what's actually working and not. The problem with the beta beers is that they've become as popular or more popular than our regular beers. So our Mango Peach, for example, sold 2x last month what our other beers sold. Burn It Down. So it's people are really excited about the new flavors, tasting things. And again, we've only been open 3.5 months. So we don't have anything perfect. We don't claim we'll ever have anything even close to perfect. But what we're doing is just trying things and iterating, see what consumers like, and then just playing off that. So we'll have a couple sours coming up. We'll have a couple more stout-like beers.
Got a red ale.
Got a red ale for an Irish red ale. Then we're thinking ahead to like Cinco de Mayo. Like we love Mexican food. We're gonna have a Mexican lager. It's a Tecate style. You can put some salt on and some lime. So we're just kind of playing off the bigger holidays, making sure we're ready for that. And then because we want to be inclusive too, and part of that beanbag tournament I was talking about, we're gonna have a kids tournament too. We're gonna make our own soda on premise and be able to give that to kids during the tournament. So yeah, that's the idea behind them. And every new beer that we come out with from this point forward is probably going to be a beta beer, less our sours, which we think should be one of our staples too.
I'll put a vote in for the grapefruit IPA. I have a couple left in the fridge. They're my special beers because I have to get more. Why do I keep forgetting my questions right before I'm going to ask them? Oh, summer shandy. You do a summer shandy for the summer because one of our favorite beers for the lake in the summer was like Leinenkugel summer shandy. So if you could make that happen, that'd be great.
We will make one specifically for you. You got it. That's a great idea. Something light, refreshing, like totally get it.
Easy to drink.
Yeah, it's making me thirsty right now.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we are so glad that you took some time out. And how can people, get information about Go Brewing? Where can they go to find out all your events, everything that you've got? I want to sign up for one of the Wim Hof cold plunges. I've been going outside, as you guys know how cold it is. The other day I was out there barefoot, just like, okay, in the snow, trying to get my cold exposure.
We'll have another one in March. I was hoping to have it in February, but we booked up all our weekends already. So we'll have a cold plunge in March. So you should definitely come out for that. But people can find us at gobrewing.com. And the beauty about this is no matter where you're at, you can order online. We ship out the next day typically. So we have a good operation in place where we get the orders online, ship them out. We'll be at your house if you're in Illinois within a couple of days. We ship to 43 states. The 7 we don't is because we can't because of their local laws. Right. So again, anywhere you're at, let us know. We have free shipping over a certain threshold. Right now it's $30. It could change between 30 and 40. And yeah, just really looking forward to your audience here, and they could join our email list as well. We do a ton of programming, a ton of educational stuff, and we're going to do more and more virtual things as well. We realize our audience is not just in Naperville, and we want to make sure we're providing inclusive content for them too.
And you guys did a great job I signed up for your Dry January text thread. And you guys did a great job on that too. I really enjoyed that. That was awesome.
Thank you. I got one more to push out for the last one today, right after that.
Oh, God.
Well, this is going to be sort of an obvious, but it'll be within your own brand. We always do a drink of the week every week on the podcast. We always ask our interviewees what their favorite alcohol-free beverage is to have. I'm going to assume yours is from the Go Brewing line, but what is your go-to alcohol-free beverage?
I think right now mine's the Mango Peach.
I've been really into our Pilsner lately. I just been drinking. I was never like a Pilsner guy. I love our Pilsner. I love our beer. I mean, I would, we always say it like, and it's just not because it's our beer, but we're always drawn now toward the more NA stuff. because of the lightness and just the taste of it's even better to us now. So our palate's
having
definitely
no
changed.
aftertaste. Yeah, I would say our palate's definitely changed, because I've tried to take a couple sips of like, your 6 to 7% beer, and I'm like, after 2 sips, I'm like, woof, like I can't do that anymore.
Well, it's lower calorie too, right?
I've become a lightweight.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of our show. And again, thank you for what you guys are doing in this space and making it all inclusive. It's amazing. So we hope that we can have you on again in the future to give us more updates on all the things that are going on. And
we'll do it live in person while Amy's freezing her butt off in a tank.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have more and more crazy stories. I think I'm going to put out like a once a month, like, what did I learn? Because it's just so fascinating. We're so blessed to be able to do this and offer what we are for the folks that just don't want to drink and want a change in their life.
Oh,
well,
awesome.
You guys are making it happen for a lot of us, and we really do appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much for having us.
Well, thank you, Joe and Heather. Probably one of my favorite interviews, only because it's like a passion point of mine. I am the NA beer guy in the house for sure. Clearly, I took over the interview and just
That's
said,
all right.
Usually you do the interviews. I'm like, nah, I got this one.
No,
I know you wrote
love
questions
it.
out, but I was.
You were excited. You and love it. I mean, you were fanboying.
I was so fanboy.
Yeah, you're like, oh, they're famous. We've been to your place.
I know him.
I know him. Yeah. What a great couple.
Oh yeah.
And I just am really excited about their events that they have coming up.
Oh, you're gonna do the plunge.
I'm gonna keep checking their calendar. It wasn't out there earlier this week yet, so I'm gonna keep checking it. And
I will not be checking. I will go there and cheer you on.
I have a couple of. I actually know 4 people. I have one friend who is doing weekly plunges with a group.
Really?
And as she said, she goes, it's like a little less than a minute right now because you have to work up to it.
Right.
But I've been encouraged with some breathing. They've been told, get out and Google or go out on YouTube and look up Wim Hof and start doing some of this breathing stuff. But that is not at all how the breathing technique goes. But I also do take that, that last 30 seconds of a cold shower.
See?
It's great for your inflammation. Keep you healthy. It's good for your skin. Come on, let's do come on, Matt. Don't you want to do it?
No, I want to just close out the podcast. All right, kids. If you have feedback, Amy at joyintherside.com or just any other coaching things, Amy is always there to help you out.
And don't forget, go out and follow me out on Instagram at Joy on the Other Side of Alcohol. I would love to have you that's where I put a lot of stuff out there. So
there you go, kids.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next week, I'm Matt along with Coach Amy wishing you peace and love from the cornfields, and we are out.